The Suffocating Void, Domestication and Pathological Distraction by Kevin Tucker. It would be imprudent to deny or even to play down the profound change which the advent of fluid modernity has brought to the human condition. The remoteness and unreachability of systemic structure, coupled with the unstructured fluid state of the immediate setting of life politics, change that condition in a radical way and call for a rethinking of old concepts that used to frame its narratives. Like zombies, such concepts are today simultaneously dead and alive. Zygmunt Bauman. Something has changed, radically and for the worst. It is tellingly difficult to describe something without a name, and that something has quickly crept into our minds and psyche. We call it social media or the social network, but those words normalize what is a revolutionary change in our relationship to technology. We're not talking here about a mere platform of technology. We're talking about a mindset, a constantly flowing stream of information whereby a refusal to participate renders the human, now reduced to the status of a user, obsolete. There has been a distinct turn away from the internet being relegated to a computer, and it is now not only with us at all times, but always on, always moving, always watching. The internet has moved from a form of communication to the increasingly predominant one. So much so that the United Nations has declared internet access a human right. As fiber optic cables are buried in plain sight, Wi-Fi signals permeate our world. Your muscles twitch. You believe it's your phone in your pocket, but you're holding it in your hand. You didn't notice you were even checking it. Our immersion into the world of the machine is most notable in how little attention we pay to it. We expect it and we are expected by it. This is the suffocating void. The demanding emptiness of modernity, the obtuse compliance with the domestication process as rendered in binary by programmers. We need to stop. Stop our movements, still our minds, silence our devices, and for a moment, even just one moment, just be present. It's not easy. It's not easy to get there, and it's not easy to stay there. The air is thick, it is difficult to breathe, and even harder to get your bearings. It is overwhelming. The weight of our stuff, our drama, our baggage, comes crashing in. In our world, stagnancy is the equivalent of death. We are stuck in constant movement. We become the flood, the rushing waters, a conversation with no beginning, no end, and no content. To our nomadic gatherer-hunter minds, there's an inkling of familiarity. Our bodies want to move, to flow and respond, but this is not the movement of bodies within a rooted world. It is a trap. We are stuck within the eye of a tornado, so we try and move with it, but it never stops and it never ends. And when you attempt to stop and assess the situation, the true horror of our reality, the crushing impact of what sociologist Zygmunt Bauman has aptly labeled liquid modernity, will overcome you. It will annihilate you. Our ancestors, our shared lineage that formed our bodies and minds, were driven by movement. Within our crises, the pathetic reflection of that primal urge is not movement, but restlessness. We are moving, but we are going nowhere, shuffling to avoid stagnancy, moving lifelessly to avoid death. This is not an accident. Nothing in our reality really is anymore. We are a herd of individuals vying for attention in a sea of selfies, tweets, and yelps. The ecologist Paul Shepard long ago pointed out how domestication stunts development, but technology derails it. Increasingly unable to find or define ourselves outside of the machine, we move further inwards, and the programmers pull the strings. We learn to express ourselves through the machine, and in doing so, we become one. Our distraction keeps us from seeing the monumental change taking place, the immersion into a constantly connected but never grounded social network. We are, so to speak, always on. Smartphones, tablets, screens everywhere we look, wireless signals pervading nearly all spaces, check-ins, GPS and monitoring equipment constantly reassuring the world that we are here and we are consuming this manufactured reality. Within decades, we went from being sold the mythos and myths of progress to rendering the narratives null through immersion. We no longer need to dream of a glorious future. We are here. Progress is no longer spoken of, but expected and systemic. Like the agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, and the green revolution before it, The interface revolution propels civilization beyond the boundaries and limitations of earlier systems. The firewalls of Jericho have been breached. Progress innovated, the processes integrated. For the programmers, this is no small feat. This is the dream of every domesticator. People lining up and fighting for the latest technology, fighting for a place in line, paying top dollar for devices with built-in tracking and data mining software, and willing to remain in debt to sustain the terms of our bondage. Never mind that the world is suffocating under piles of waste, choking down makeshift mines for rare and difficult-to-extract metals, while workers are forced to sign anti-suicide clauses, villages are displaced, and sustained low-budget warfare are both form and function. The expectation isn't just that all this will be ignored, but that you, the consumer, will be back for more next year, or sooner. And when things are really moving along, not only are the consequences of technology, both internal and external, ignored, they are accepted and justified. If the architects of Uruk had the foresight, they would have been seething with jealousy over the control and obedience this technocratic dystopia holds. But in their place, we have the ever-present bloated smiles of Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Mark Zuckerberg encoded into the machines we carry. The smiles of billionaires who built their impossibly massive fortunes on our desecrated Earth, buried, literally, in a sea of intentionally outdated and short-lived devices. Devices filled with metals mined by the dispossessed under the directives of warlords. Devices built by the displaced and disempowered. Devices awash in toxic residue that dilute into groundwater, streams, rivers, and contaminate oceans. Devices that whiten the blood-stained teeth of programmers, of billionaires, of domesticators. And their smiles are injected into every aspect of our lives.